Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, August 2nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarification points. Number one, this price you see over here will be changing around, and then the candlestick will be moving around. That's because the market is still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, GOVX, which I've been tracking very closely. And as long as this thing keeps on putting in these higher highs and higher lows, then it makes sense to keep tracking it. So the uptrend continues. And after it was a pretty crazy Friday afternoon where the price really pulled back quite a bit, that was all wiped away very quickly with a big gap up. And then even on the pullback right here, the lowest it got was right there, which just continues to show those higher bases. So on that note, that's where the first level of support is going to be moving forward right there at 350. And while 350 is not a do or die level or anything like that, it would certainly make the chart look the healthiest because, I mean, when you stop and think about it, 350, if that is the new base, and then you look at that base, then you look at these bases, and then you look at that base, and then you look at where it's down there. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, well, then overall, these stair steps continue to make progress in the upwards direction. And from a trend building standpoint, that's what it's all about. You just want to see those lows keep getting higher and higher. As far as areas of resistance are concerned for you breakout players out there, pretty well-defined area, at least in my opinion, of the key level to watch, which is going to be that resistance trend line right there. You can see it's done a pretty good job of forecasting where all these problem points are, which puts the breakout point right up there around the $4 mark, give or take. But like I said, at the end of the day, what matters the most is that this thing keeps on putting in those higher bases, which is exactly what it's been doing. Next, AEMD, and like this one, not as much as I last time I looked at it, because this last 30 minutes here, not exactly... It's not destroying the chart, but it's not making the chart look as good as it was. But I'll still start off with that first key level, and that goes back to the idea that, you know, very, very well-defined breakout area at $1.55 there. I mean, you can see that several occasions the price got right up around that general area and could never quite maintain any sort of momentum once it got up to that level. So if the price does turn around and get up to the level and break up through it, there are no guarantees, but is it valid? Is it rational to think that a good high volume break of $1.55 could cause another surge of buying pressure? In my mind, that is a more than, you know, plausible and rational outcome. But again, because this last 30 minutes is really pulling the price back, we'll talk about a couple levels that I wasn't necessarily planning on talking about, but it is what it is. So the first key level of support to watch moving forward is going to be right there at $1.35. And in the event $1.35 can't quite hold up, then you're looking at a potential resistance back test of down here around $1.25. So $1.35, $1.25 main areas of support if this pullback continues. But at least in my opinion, the most intriguing dynamic is this thing turning itself back around and potentially getting the breakup through $1.55. But we'll have to see what happens. But certainly not the greatest way to end the day with this final 30 minutes and big red candle. Next one, VRAX, and this is a very impressive chart just from the fact that when you consider that the price at one point was all the way down here, and now it's bounced all the way up to where it has. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but you also have to give credit where credit's due and, you know, just say that, yeah, this right here has been a very, very impressive bounce. But that does lead to the valid question of, but is there any sort of true power? Is there any sort of genuine strength behind this bounce here? And I have no idea, but the good news is by using charts, we can make answering that question very straightforward, assuming we can agree on the logic that, you know, bounces and price movements in the upwards direction are going to be truly strong if, well, they just continue to progress upwards. And that's where, okay, well, but what do you mean by progress? What is your definition of making progress? In this situation, right here at 825. Now, I'm not saying this will occur, but if the price were to come down to 825 and then break down below it, what do you have at that point? You essentially have the price having gone right back to where it started. And not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they were, not exactly the sign of true power. However, to be fair, no price goes straight up. So maybe it does come down here, but the difference being behaves like that and then starts to work its way back upwards. Now, all of a sudden, what would you have? Well, you'd have a set of lows right there. You'd have that set of lows down there. And then going back to the whole stair step example, if you envision those as stair steps, you would still have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. And again, that's what a truly strong move is going to do. So yes, no doubt about it. Nice, strong bounce here. Is there legitimate power? Well, let's see if the price can continue to make progress. How is progress being defined? By staying up above 825. Next, MULN, and a nice day today. Yeah, it did pull back late day, but actually within that pullback is what's creating a nice pattern for it. So I'll actually draw that here with try to be a little bit more precise. So we have the pullback right here, which has formed a downwards channel. So yes, the latter part of the day has formed a downwards channel. However, that's just the latter part of the day. When you factor in more pieces and consider that the price started off down here and then exploded upwards like this before the downwards channel, we now have ourselves what is known as a bull flag pattern. Now, just because it's bullish doesn't mean the price is going to continue to go up, but I don't think it would, really catch anybody off guard either based on the nature of the pattern itself. So if you like to play penny stocks, if you like to play bull flag patterns, here you go. Next one, AMC, and it is going to be grab your popcorn, grab your Sour Patch Kids, because we got a good battle coming. It's looking like on Tuesday, and this will make a little bit more sense to those of you that have watched past videos. But I've talked about that pink line many times before. That is the very famous, very well-known 200 period moving average, and you can see right now this is why it is well-known, because as of now, the price has struggled to get above it. But the idea of a watch list, the philosophy, is not to find a stock and then randomly rush out and buy it. It's to watch it. Watch and find unique and interesting situations. And in this situation, it is very unique and interesting because that is a very well-known area. And now with the price knocking on the door and doing battle, it brings up the more than valid question of, is a bigger breakout to come? Now, maybe it's not. That's possible, but that it's a two-sided coin because maybe it is. And if it is the start of a much bigger breakout, then it's worth at least keeping an eye on. So again, the idea of a watch list is not to find a stock and then buy it. It's to watch it and find those unique and interesting situations. And yes, it's also nice that the price has been put in those higher bases, no doubt about it. So you got those stair steps in upwards environment. But like I said, the main dynamic and what I find most interesting, and I think the main question most people will be asking is, okay, the uptrend continues. It's doing battle with that 200 period moving average. Can it get the breakout through it? Let's see what happens. Real quickly, I wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering later on in the week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, why it's so powerful, and how it can help you build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to take your understanding of all this to another level and why it's so beneficial, then certainly get signed up for that free training. Next one, OTRK, and very, very nice setup. It was already nice and, attractive, but with this last 30 minutes here, this is why I like to do these when the market's still open. I mean, check out this. Huge movement up. Granted, it's pulled back some, but even with the move up, we now have more data that this is a very well-defined breakout point right here at $1.55, which I think was another one. Wasn't it $1.55, if I remember right? But yes, $1.55, you can see right here, history of the momentum disappearing, and then once again, last 30 minutes, got up there, momentum disappeared once again, which does not guarantee anything, but like I said earlier, does lead to the more than valid thought process of, okay, well, if this price can get up to $1.55 and push through it, then that break in and of itself could have somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy and lead to that much more upside buying pressure. Completely valid thought process to have, but not guaranteed. So yes, $1.55, very, very interesting. And then on top of that, you look at this area of support right there, and let's change that to green to represent more so the bullish dynamic of the pattern. And then maybe make this all easier to see. Let's just make it one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have our big momentum move right there. Let's put the golf down there to make it more visual for you golfers out there. And this will be known as a bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play stocks down below $2, you like bull pennant patterns, here you go. Next one, NIO. Now, overall, very nice follow through from Friday. Didn't do it on Friday, but yes, Friday was actually the breakout through this downwards, or excuse me, not downwards, sideways channel pattern here where the price had been stuck in for quite a while. And then today just got that much more continuation from it. So that's more so the overall context. Got a breakout late day Friday of that sideways channel and then got more continuation today. Now, there is a little bit of perspective that goes into it, meaning if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought up around here and your plan was to buy and sell within 10 minutes, well, then yeah, from that perspective, the chart looks pretty rough. But assuming you do care about the big picture of things, even with the bigger pullback here, everything is perfectly fine. How so? Well, you've seen me do it before, but I'm doing it again. We have a set of lows there. We have lows there. We have lows down here. And yeah, you envision those as stair steps, and you still do have progress moving in the upwards direction. So yes, I totally understand if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair steps, but that's why I'm trying to separate things out based on perspective. Because if you do care about a bigger picture perspective, then as annoying as a late day pullback was today, within the grand scheme of things, the trend remains upwards. So that's, kind of how I would view that. As far as levels of resistance, very, very straightforward. Right there at 2075, you can see literally 3 times in a row this morning, Price tried to get up there, couldn't quite get it. So if the price does recover back up there, that's a big question mark from the resistance standpoint. Are the bulls going to have enough power to break through 2075? Next one, REV. And I mean, not a whole lot to say about this one other than the fact of going back to the philosophy of a watch list, unique, interesting situations. And this thing was basically nothing going on. And then this afternoon, kaboom, volume came pouring in, price absolutely exploded. So for those two reasons, in and of itself, I think it's worth while mentioning and getting on a watch list. Yeah, I get it right now. The last 30 minutes, it has pulled back a little bit, both in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you could still potentially have a nice pattern form where you have 950. If there's some sort of uptrend that begins to form, then yeah, you'd still have a bull pennant pattern that has the opportunity to form. Whether or not that happens, obviously nobody knows that. But my core point here is I could see that potentially happening. But at the foundation, when you have massive volume all of a sudden pouring in, you have great price movement within that volume. That's certainly a situation in and of itself worth keeping an eye on. So REV, if you like to play these stocks that can move and move very quickly, then definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, TBLT, and I probably should have put this in a different spot because you've heard me say this before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it is a matter of perspective. For you day traders that bought right there, that wanted to buy and sell within 7 minutes, yes, from that angle, not looking the greatest because there was that pullback here, but I'm going to get out my hammer and nail, start building some stair steps. So we have a stair step there, we have a stair step there, we have a stair step there, and then we have one down there. So yes, you've heard me say it. Assuming you care about the big picture point of view, I get it. TBLT did have that pullback, but as long as these lows keep getting higher and higher, then that's what you want. In fact, kind of a bit of a case of deja vu. I mean, Friday had a nasty, nasty pullback right there, but then ultimately proved to be just fine as the price put in a higher high right there. And today's pullback, not nearly as nasty as Friday's, but like I said, at the core, it is still putting in those higher bases, and that's what you want. So assuming you care about the grand scheme of things, everything's perfectly fine. As far as key breakout points in my mind, all about that $9.20 mark, so keep a close eye on that. If you can get a high volume break of there, I mean, at that point, I think it's very reasonable. High volume break of 920, that puts it up over $10, but we'll have to see what happens in regards to that. As always, got to manage that risk, though, because no guarantees if it breaks that, it's going up to 10. But just based on the nature of the uptrend right now, you got to think the odds are in the favor of that happening. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and a couple of very, very nice levels, mainly from the breakout standpoint. I'm not trying to impress anybody or imply that this is a great talent, but you got to think a bunch of people have drawn that trend line right there to illustrate the pullback here. And this pullback is occurring within an overall uptrend. But when a lot of people are watching the same level, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So as I've said, no guarantees, but is it valid to think that if the price can come into that trend line and get a high volume break of it, that break could create more buyers just because, oh, look, it's breaking out and I'm a breakout player? To me, that seems like a more than rational conclusion, given how well-defined that trend line can be drawn right there. So that main breakout point right there around the $900 mark here on Tesla, if this does want to pull back some more, seems to be that first initial key level of support right here around the, 885 mark. And then if 885 can't quite hold up, the next key level to watch after that would then be down there at that former breakout point, which sits at about 868. So those would be the main levels I'm watching from a pullback standpoint. But if this thing doesn't want to turn around and work its way back up to the upside, then yes, that trend line, like I said, I think a lot of people will be watching, myself included. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, why it's powerful and why it can be so helpful, then certainly get signed up for the free live training later on in the week. Like I said, it'll be Thursday, August 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you'd like for me to continue to make these videos and also just flat out help the channel, helping the YouTube algorithm, then hit that like button and leave a simple comment below. Even if it's just saying hi, what you traded today, what you're watching tomorrow, but hitting that like button and leaving a comment really does not only communicate to me, but it also helps out the channel as a whole. So definitely get signed up for that free training. Everybody take care. Have a good one.